Hello, everybody. Welcome back to How Come. This week we are talking about toxic male leaders, toxic male podcasters, toxic people being toxic and making other people toxic. It's a very gendered conversation. Unfortunately, we're talking a lot of men, women. Obviously, we know non-binary people exist. I'm one of them. She, they pronouns for anyone who has forgotten. There's a lot of talk of patriarchy, matriarchy. Unfortunately, there's no theytriarchy at this point. But we're talking about it with Cyzor Church, who you might know from TikTok. He's on TikTok now as Cyzor Studio. He's a boudoir photographer, and he also does something called the Anti-Misogyny podcast, which we're going to talk about in this episode. But we recorded this a few weeks ago, and this episode came on the heels of a podcaster getting kicked off of all social media platforms. You will hear about who that is throughout this recording. We don't mention them by name because we don't want to spread their message even more. But you'll know who we're talking about. And at the end of this episode, we're also going to be talking a little bit about Jordan Peterson after the outro song. Robin and I will do a little discussion because a movie recently came out and the director said that one of the characters was based on Jordan Peterson. And I think that's very relevant to this conversation. So stay tuned for that. It has spoilers about the movie. And I'll tell you which movie because I didn't want this to be a spoiler in itself. But so if you want to hear that, wait till after the music. And you're just going to love hearing from Cyzor. He's great, and we had a great time recording this. This is our second recording because the first one, the sound was corrupted as it happens. But that is still on patreon.com/howcome in full. So if you want to hear more from him, especially about boudoir photography, go check out our other episode on patreon.com/howcome. Until then, enjoy this episode.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Good to be back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry about last time. Somebody's headphones weren't working.
It was probably mine.
Could have been me.
Okay,
I can hear you in the headphones now.
for sure.
For sure.
La, 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 la. Even that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're good.
Okay, great.
Cool.
I'm so excited to have you back because I feel like it's actually a more appropriate time to talk about anti-misogyny podcasting.
Yeah,
right?
actually.
Like this is so appropriate. So welcome back, Cyzor.
It's great to be back. Yes.
I first discovered you on TikTok.
Cool. Super cool.
Yes, my favorite place. Doing something called the Anti-Misogyny podcast.
Yes.
Which is not a podcast.
Not at all. No.
It's a sketch about what an anti-misogyny podcast would look like if you hosted it.
Yeah, it was like a what if kind of thing. Like, the Marvel series, how they did, like, what ifs of a bunch of other situations. I was like, well, what if there was a podcast that didn't suck? Like that wasn't, focused around just like shaming people, making people feel bad about themselves and, that kind of stuff. That was just really terrible. Like, what if there was one that wasn't like that? What would it sound like? And then I just kind of made it based off of that.
It would sound like How Come.
It was, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, but it also, I think you are saying a podcast that was hosted by like a cis straight guy. Yes. Where it wasn't completely toxic.
Right. Just trying to tell what position men are supposed to have, what role men are supposed to have in society. Mm-hmm. And then conversely, what role women are supposed to have in society. And how those roles were very clearly like men are supposed to be being in charge and in power and stuff like that. And women are just supposed to be like behind the scenes and behind men and, just these like sub roles. Exactly. Yeah. And I was just like, what if there was a podcast where that wasn't what was being spewed? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So what would that sound like? And yeah, that was the premise.
You were probably seeing a lot of those ones on your feed, right? Of like toxic. Yeah. I was too for the past few months.
What I saw that got me into the idea of making something like this, where I saw a bunch of there was a TikTok trend back in I want to say it was January or February, where women were doing parodies of these podcasts. They were using a filter where they had like this mustache, and they were just like, "Yeah, I'm a high value female," and these males, they don't. It was just really. It was hilarious how they flipped the script. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a wonderful idea. I love that. I love that so much.
I love the girl version of what that would sound like and how ridiculous it does sound.
Exactly.
But the thing I like about yours is that like you're talking to a person who's not really there, and you're talking about something like gun control or reproductive rights or
the not all men thing. Not
all men, and talking about things like also in this same like, okay. So wait, like, which is what everybody does. They talk over each other and then try to make a point, but you actually do make a point because your person lets you speak.
Right. They don't interrupt me halfway through my point.
Iconic.
Okay, and I just wanted to play one of those videos. Let's do Not All Men because this was surrounding discourse on sexual assault. So trigger warning for that, just about how many AFAB people have been assaulted and then people rushing to the comments saying not all men. And then this was the response to the not all men discourse.
Nah, you say you don't understand why women say all men, but really you do. You understand that logic because you like guns, right? True. And what's one of the first safety tips they give you about guns? Is treat every gun
like it's loaded.
Like it's loaded, right? Exactly. Even if you know it's not loaded, all guns are loaded, right? That's how you look at every gun because you can't look at somebody's gun and tell if it's loaded or not. Right? Women are doing the exact same thing because any man could be her assailant. She can't look at a man and be like, oh, that's the good one. So she treats all men like they're potential assailants. It's the same way we do guns. It's the same.
So you spell out these things, a lot of the common arguments that those people are bringing up, and you're just like putting it in like layman's terms, kind of, you know, and just making, or like you have like a lot of analogies.
Yeah, I try to think of things in terms of whatever my target audience is for the particular sketch, and it's usually the people who are opposed to whatever idea that is currently going on. Whatever, I try to think of what do they understand? Like what things are they familiar with or comfortable with and stuff like that? And how can I frame this in a way where that's their point of reference? Because that helps me when I'm learning anything that I don't really understand that. So yeah, I just do that, and it seems to work out. A lot of people resonate with it. I had a lot of comments saying, I didn't really get it until you said it like that, like until you said it with the not all men thing. The one that a lot of people really resonated with was bees, like being allergic to bees. It's like, well, you know, I don't hate bees, and I recognize that bees are useful, but I still have to treat all bees like they can kill me because I'm allergic to them. Like, because I'm allergic. Right. So I don't know, like, it's like, not all bees sting, but I still have to treat all bees with caution, like that kind of.
Even though some bees are gorgeous.
Exactly. Like, and some bees don't even sting you. Like they
don't even sting at all. They wouldn't. I was trying to explain this to a child the other day, literally Dietrich Robin. I was like, did you know that the fuzzy ones? He's like, no, I'm scared of all of them. And I was like, that's fine. Cyzor says it's fine.
Yeah. So that's the goal. It's like reaching a point where everybody's like understands the point.
Yeah. I like that you cover a breadth of topics and that you do break them down for people who otherwise might not see them or might not listen to them, because what I've noticed is that women or non-binary AFAB people can make the same point over and over and over again, or you know, like any group can make the same point over and over again, but until like somebody who's like that person who's makes part that, of that group, point. Yeah, exactly. Who's part of the group that you're from. So like most guys won't listen to points about women by women, but then like they say you come across their page and they're like, genius.
Yeah, that's weird. I felt guilty when somebody pointed that out the first time. It was like, we've been saying this whole time, but they're only going to listen when you say it. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Like that genuinely sucks. But I don't know. Like, how do I, like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do I fix that? Like, do I not put out the content or like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I think you keep doing what you're doing because I see it as like a service. Like And you don't delete those comments of people being like, that's what we've been saying. Like, you're not like, I own this idea. You know,
no, absolutely not. Yeah. No, that is what it is. Sometimes I'll like them so that other people can see that. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I feel like you've pinned them before being like, yeah. I think that's a good thing to do because, again, otherwise, where would these people decide to take the time to like listen to those points? Then the only people who are ever talking about a thing are the people who are going through it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help anybody.
Exactly. There should be people on both sides of any given, like on whatever front you're trying to like be on. You should have people who are like, you know, on the opposing side who actually like get it and they want to help as well, like that kind of thing. Because that's the best way to like kind of augment whatever you're trying to do. Like the perfect example would be like the whole George Floyd thing, like, you know, because Black people have been protesting forever about these, right. But when George Floyd passed, like white people were out there too. Like it was like, you know, everybody was out there protesting and, you know, and making a ruckus about it. Yeah. And it's like that, and that like was something that people acknowledged. Like that's what people, you know, they saw it and they were like, you know, this, they've been saying it this whole time, but we're only listening to it now. And, you know, obviously a lot of Black people were like upset because it's like, oh, now you guys are taking it seriously. Now you guys are actually arresting people because, you know, white people might have joined in. So now, but it's like the progress is being made on all these fronts, on a lot of social issues. The progress is being made, but sometimes it takes more people than just whoever is being directly affected by it. So sometimes
too.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, if I see a lot of injustices being done towards women, and you know, those don't directly affect me because I'm a man, but like I understand what it's like to be on the, you know, the oppressed side of things. And this is something that I'm not oppressed in. Like, you know, I've got, you know, the male privilege stuff. So if I can use that to kind of, you know, get other guys to be like, yo, this is problematic. Like, this is clearly an issue. Then I should. If I can do that, then I should. So I also just think logically, if only the group who's fighting for the right is fighting for the right, then it seems like a selfish issue. Whereas if other people get it, it seems like a real form that you have to understand. Yeah, you know, absolutely. That it's like, okay, you've reached a level of understanding where, like, I always think of it this way. I'm like, what if you grew up, or like, what if died and then, or you don't even have to die. What if you go to sleep and tomorrow you wake up in a completely different body, completely different gender, a completely different race, a completely different sexuality? Do you still feel the same about the laws that affect you right now? Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, I think the reason people are fighting for people, it's not just because it's like, oh, we need to. It's like, no, that's like something that we believe in. Like, this is fucked up. Right. And also, I don't want to wake up tomorrow and have to deal with that. I think, well, I mean, that's literally, that's empathy. Yeah. That's empathy. Yeah. And unfortunately, and a lot of what I talk about in some of my videos, maybe not directly the Anti-Misogyny podcast, but other videos that I've made about, like, you know, misogyny and the patriarchy and all that kind of stuff, is that men are not taught empathy or any real form of emotional intelligence when they're young. We're kind of taught to like bottle up emotions just in general, and don't express ourselves, don't cry, and anything that we attribute to being like feminine, we're taught to not do that. And emotional intelligence is one of those things. It's like, and it affects you guys negatively. Of course. Yeah. Because then what ends up happening is you got all these grown men that are like, we can't express ourselves and we can't, you know what I'm saying? We can't cry. We have to shoulder all these burdens. We have to do all this stuff. And it's like, women didn't set that up. Like, women are telling you to not, like, they didn't make that system up. You were getting taught that by other guys that were like shaming you for being emotional in situations where it was appropriate to be emotional. They were like, no, don't do that, cut that out. And now you're like emotionally stunted, and you're 100%. You're pinning that on women, or you're taking that out on women, and women weren't the ones telling you that stuff when you were growing up. I mean, maybe some were. I'm not going to say like no women ever said that or whatever, because they're, internalized misogyny.
Everyone has a capacity for evil.
Exactly. But that overarching idea of, men have to do this and men have to be like this and not being emotional and stuff, men were the ones pushing that idea.
Totally.
And so
yeah.
And I'm what I'm trying to do when I try to relate or explain these things in ways that people can relate to, that is teaching them like empathy. And sometimes I'll directly talk about empathy, or I'll talk about, how the patriarchy affects us in these negative ways, and how misogyny like hurts people and all that kind of stuff. And I make those videos as well, and talk about that. Yeah, like the lack of empathy definitely is making it harder for us to connect to each other and connect with everybody.
It's so interesting too, as you're talking about this, because you're like, women didn't set this up, but like even in my, brain where I'm unlearning all the misogyny that I grew up with, like I'm like, but what if we did? Like, what if there is some way that we gamified this or whatever? And I'm like, Remy, like they have the chokehold they have on you.
Yeah.
Like I think about fucking Eve, and I'm like, first of all,
that's crazy.
That book was written by men.
Yeah, it was. That is wild it goes to that. But I mean, all of what you've been taught about that stuff is just what you've been taught as a kid. And the people who are teaching it, the pastors, most of them were men. Like the whole structure is men, like kind of in charge of these ideas and pushing the stuff. And when you learn it as a kid, you just accept it as truth. Like whatever it is, even if it doesn't make sense, you accept it as truth. And, and so you don't really question. It's like, boys are not supposed to cry. Boys are supposed to like the color blue. Boys are supposed to play with action figures. And you're not like, why? Like, who made that rule? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is blue our color? Like,
And also then men are supposed to make the money, but then men also have to do all the dates and take care of the women. And then they get so mad and it's like, wait, but then just don't do all the jobs. And they're like, but we want to do the jobs. And it's like, but I swear you just said you didn't want to, like, there could be such a happy medium where the people who want to do the jobs, the people who want to raise the kids.
Yeah.
The people who want to fuck and never raise anybody have the best time, and we all have healthcare. Imagine.
Yeah. Must be nice. Yeah. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
But I think it's like a fear of mediocrity, being like, if we don't, have this thing over everybody, then nobody's going to want us and blah, blah, blah. But like I've said it a million times. We find you sexy. We literally, we love you so much. We want to like you as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I'm sure you've seen that.
And men don't want to be feared either.
Right. They don't want to be looked at like they're, like they're dangerous and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
And the way that happens is like hold each other accountable in front of us. Like, that's why I love your videos. Cause I'm like, you're telling like the younger men, oh, here's a way to be. And I'm happy. Like I treat women well and I'm happy.
And
I'm not an incel.
Exactly.
I'm liked. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's great. It's great when people are like, oh, this guy's cool. Like he's actually not shitty. Like that's a wonderful feeling. Like I wish everybody was like that.
Yeah. But like then conversely, there's the people that like your anti-misogyny podcast is like not based on, but shedding light on.
Yeah.
Like those guys are either incels that are like, I'm unhappy, I hate women, here's why. Or a guy who's very in the news right now, but I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to. Okay. We'll call him Sandshrew.
Sure. Okay.
Like the Pokemon. So Sandshrew is one of the most like vile, like the way he speaks is just like it hits your ear wrong. And then the things he says also just like add like that 1-2 punch and kick, because he did that.
Yeah. That was his thing.
That was his thing. But he's this podcaster that is speaking directly to younger men. He makes most of his money off of instructing younger men on how to be an alpha, how to be a high value man, how to get women, how to control women. or more notably 19-year-olds that you can put your imprint on that haven't yet been sullied by other men. And he actually has had a girlfriend before, so they're listening to him.
Yeah. I actually just made a TikTok, not about him, but about like, why are you listening to like these people with these terrible takes?
Yeah.
And I think what it is, I don't think they're listening to them because well, you know what? I think it's a mixture of things, because I do think that a lot of these people genuinely believe that if they listen to people like Sandshrew, then they might also become like him in terms of status and like in money.
Totally. Yeah.
Those
yes,
things.
He claims to be a trillionaire, which does not exist.
No, not at all.
They think he only has like, not only, but he has like 30 million, which, you know, I have a self-made friend that has that. And
right. There's people. Yeah.
And she doesn't, you know, lead an army against another gender.
His influence, I think a lot of it is the people who watch him are just looking for somebody for confirmation bias. I think that they're looking for I think they already have these preconceived notions of why they have, I think primarily is they have difficulty with women. I think that's what a lot of it stems from, is they have difficulty with women. And the reason mostly is because their personality sucks. Like they're usually they're either like very bland, not charismatic, or they're actually just rude. They're like disrespectful, and the way that they see women are, you know, these are creatures that are supposed to like me, and they're not, and that's a problem. That's, you know, so that's their fault, and they need to fix it, and I need to figure out how to, you know, how to rectify the situation, because they're not acting the way they're supposed to, which is liking me. And that's weird. It's a weird mentality
not
to have.
Like liking, but also like they should want to serve me. Like that's the narrative I feel like he has. It's like they're beneath me. Like even if they don't like me, they should want to do something for me.
Right. And so they look for creators who say that kind of stuff. And then they're like, okay, so he's saying it and he's successful, so it must be right. So that's that confirmation. You know what I mean? Rather than look internally and be like, am I the problem? Like, like maybe I might be the problem, because there are people who don't have this issue.
Drama?
Yeah, am I the drama? But people don't want to do that. It's because it's hard. It's scary to
It sucks. I've literally done it before and been like, I suck. I need to like rebuild. It's time for therapy. You know, like it like, you don't like it because you're like, wait, I feel like I've always been this person. Like, and to varying degrees, like there are some people who really suck and some people who like really, really suck.
Right.
But like, I don't think anybody is a lost cause, but it is very easy to get on those tracks, like those pipelines. I don't know where it is, Rob, but it was like something that if you watch like a few seconds into the video, like then like the next two videos are going to have misogynistic views as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that quick?
These people, they did an experiment where they created a completely new TikTok account for like a 14-year-old kid.
Boy.
Okay.
Yeah. And they did nothing, and they saw a Sandshrew video. And they looked at it for like 2 seconds, and then the next couple of videos after that were like more of that type of content, or people with those views, or other content creators. There were like 4 creators that were pretending to be Sandshrew that had posted the videos, and they just kept showing this content because they stopped for like a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really easy to fall in that rabbit hole, and now you're next thing you know, you're a misogynist. That's wild.
Yeah.
Able to churn them out like that.
Totally. And there were quotes too. Like I saw some tweets about teachers who are like, my classroom has gotten out of hand. Like there's like a rise in misogyny again of, you know, boys telling their teacher to go make them a sandwich or whatever, or say,
wow, tell the teacher?
Yeah. And I remember like when that was a thing when I was younger, and then like, you know, throughout this time I've been like, oh, how nice is it that they get to grow up differently? And it's like, it's coming back.
Yeah. So we got to put a stamp on that kind of stuff. But fortunately, it looks like at least the social media platforms, are starting to take stands against that kind of stuff since they did ban Sandshrew on
they banned Shrewd.
Yeah, they banned Shrewd on like everything on
Instagram,
like,
Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah,
but he had been banned on Twitter, like on different accounts,
and then came back and got verified.
Like, how can you get verified? Like, they're breaking their own rules.
I have no idea on that one. Last I checked, he's been banned on most social media
at this
platforms.
Stage. Yeah, they're like, you're dumb.
And they took his pyramid scheme down.
Yes.
So that's been. I was just like, okay, they're actually like starting to take a stand against
something,
but they're still not taking down videos that are posted by other people that aren't him, and those ones, like, that's the next step.
Yeah,
as long as he's not making money off of it and doesn't have his own, like, actually, I don't know.
The way I look at that is that there's limits to how much any given platform can censor people without there being like, rules and regulations that they now have to follow. Like if they are able to cater their audiences out, like content, like if they're able to say this is the only kind of content you're allowed to make, well then the platform becomes a completely different kind of platform. Totally. That's true. However, if it's just a matter of like this, you can't use our platform because your content is harmful for like everybody. So we won't allow, you're not allowed on here anymore because us as a private business will not like allow you to like be harmful towards our other consumers. And in that instance, it's like not infringing on free speech. Well, one, because like freedom of speech isn't freedom of Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
Like they're not in the Constitution. Like, you're not entitled to these businesses' platform. And the other thing is like, it's not like he's in America. Like he's not subject to our constitution while he's in Romania or wherever he's at. So like,
does he not live here?
No, he lived. All right. So
he moved
one of the biggest Romania in order to make, because it's easier to get away with like essay type allegations.
I know he said that he moved there to do that. And then that's been scrubbed from the internet, so we can't find that anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But, I guess they got rid of a lot of stuff. But
right. So then I'm like, I don't want things completely gone because I want evidence still.
I can see that.
But then, okay, so he's still in Romania because yes, he did say this. He said he wanted to go there because it's easier to get away with SA, which he said was a joke. But jokes come from kind of a real place,
right? Like and then other people watching him won't know that that's a joke. So a lot of people will think, oh, well, that's okay to do then. And it becomes more of a problem.
Yeah. With the taking things off the internet, like it's so weird because like, then I'm going to compare him to Hitler. Okay. So Hitler, we grew up studying and we saw how he took a group of feeling low guys and pitted them against a common enemy and galvanized them to make them feel strong and to do something that he wanted to do.
I'm sure a lot of them didn't realize the gravity of what they were getting into.
100%. He was taking the stupidest of the stupid. And a lot of people throughout history have followed this same model, like Trump, I think, being one of them, being like, I'm going to get the stupidest of the stupid and just say the stuff and do the algorithms. And it's something that Sandshrew was quite good at doing, was part of his Ponzi scheme, was getting other people to share his videos. So this information being out there, I'm like, okay, cool. It's out there so we can be wary of stuff like that. But then two, on the flip, I'm like, it's out there so other people will know how to follow this same form.
I think that people are going to know regardless though. I think because like 20, 30 years ago, Trump said like what he was going to do in order, like he was talking about, I'll talk to the Republican.
I'll run as a Republican because they're the stupidest people on the planet.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the creator who passed recently, Kevin Samuels, he said the same thing. Okay, so he was a creator who all right, so Kevin Samuels, the reason why there's so many misogynist podcasters That was what he did. Well, that was kind of what he did. But when he passed, he left like a huge hole in like the podcasting
A misogyny
community.
legacy.
Right. And so as soon as he passed, like within like weeks of him passing, a bunch of these guys just started popping up out of nowhere. And Andrew Tate was one of them who just appeared out of thin air. And it was a bunch of podcasters just started appearing, and they were just spouting the same stuff. Exactly. Yeah. The same stuff that he was spouting, that's what they were spouting. Only they were worse. He was a lot more like controlled and refined. He at least had some like good takes where he was trying to like, be beneficial to some people, but a lot of his platform was just bashing women.
And that's the thing is like Andrew Tate joked about the bashing and the assaulting, all of these things, but is actually being looked into for sex trafficking.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like has been reported to actually assault people, which he'll be like, no, I would never do that. And it's like, but that's one of the things that you preach on your podcast. Yeah. Like if somebody's out of line, like how can you reject that? Like that's literally something you tell people to do.
It makes, so
but it's like, I never would.
Exactly. That's it. It makes it really difficult to make them. They're not. It makes it hard for you to feel that they're credible. But like I said, for people who are looking for that, they need that confirmation of their own misogyny. They need somebody to be like somebody with status to say the same messed up stuff that they think, so that they feel justified in thinking it. That's why it's problematic for people like him to be able to do that kind of stuff. And I am glad that platforms have started to like take a stand on at least that aspect. Like, no, if you're we have a toxicity like cap. If you reach the cap, then you're no longer allowed on here. That kind of thing.
Yeah, because at a certain point, it's not just toxic; it's criminal.
Yeah, it's actually harmful. It's actually
And I know that we've seen some people get away with worse, but like at least it is happening a little bit. One of my friends was saying to me something like, oh, well, I don't know if I like this deplatforming of him, because then people are going to think that that's okay to do to people in real life. And I was like, wait, how do you deplatform somebody in real life?
Yeah, wait, what?
Stop talking to them?
I think people think that, are they entitled to listen to you? Or like, I don't know what that means, actually.
I think it leaves more space for those conversations. Like, if somebody's pissed about it, I would just be like, okay, so like, what about him do you like? And like, then we would have to have that conversation. And I would say, well, it turns out I'm a person as well. And, like you would have to have conversations.
Right.
There's no such thing as like blocking in real life. We talked about this article canceled at 17. That was in The Cut. I don't know if you saw it, but it was about this guy who like shared nudes in a high school. And basically everybody just like stopped talking to him.
Isn't that like actually illegal?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually illegal.
Very illegal.
It's very illegal. And his slap on the wrist was that people stopped talking to him. And it's like, that's accountability. Like, I'm not mad at that. That doesn't make me mad at all.
Right. Absolutely. That's the least that could happen, because prison would be the other thing that could happen for sharing an underage person's nudes. Very prison. So they got off lucky. If the worst that happened was that I got ostracized, then that's par for the course for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that he did an apology video yesterday.
Who?
Sandshrew.
Oh, really? How did that go?
He did like an hour long thing on his YouTube, but I don't know if it's still up because he's been banned from YouTube now.
He's banned from YouTube now. Yeah.
But he basically,
it's probably somewhere then.
I've got some of the things he said. He said he's a victim of his own success because it led people to find any clip and take it out of context so that they could.
Again, you literally tell people to hit people.
They wanted people to be as controversial as possible so then they could get all the views for themselves. He said that he needs to change his messaging to be in line with his fame to make sure that that's not done. He said that the attacks on him were just disguised under the virtue of caring about women, but none of the people attacking him care about women. None of them donate to women's charity. None of them donate to charity like I do. None of them help anyone like I do. All he has done is save people from depression.
Really? Is that all he's done?
That's all he's done.
I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but a portion of every photo shoot that I do does go to charity. Goes to coalition against domestic violence. So, amazing. Or in other charities like the Trevor Project, and I've done some charities in Hawaii for water. But yeah, so no, that's not true at all. There's some of us are out here actually doing the stuff. Like it's not
and doing boudoir shoots with women who trust them because they're not fucking freaks.
Right. Not creepy and weird and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But also, I just think that language that he used is really interesting, that he's like, oh, I have to like have a brand that's like, you know, more reflective of like my station now. And it's like, so you're just saying you don't believe this stuff. You're really telling us that you used controversy to get a bunch of followers. And like he said, like, you know, the magic formula is 60 to 70% followers that like you, and then the other percentage of followers that hate you, so that you create war in the comments.
Okay,
like he's telling us how he's making money. He said his Ponzi scheme is a Ponzi scheme, and haha, it doesn't matter. People don't care.
Because the product of his scheme wasn't anything for the people. They were just selling him because they were sharing his clips. Everything, the product of his company was him. And he was selling it.
Buy into it. Like,
but
you had to bring other people in. It was still a Ponzi scheme. So.
Yeah.
Wait, can I show you something?
Please.
Sure.
Ben found my microphone.
Oh, yay, Ben!
Oh, was it
a bit late now?
But it's good to know. No, where was it?
In the trunk.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
I was like, why did you leave the microphone outside?
Just out in the garden.
Just
just hanging with it yesterday.
Grow them here.
Come off the trees.
Yeah. Sun-powered microphone.
Oh my God.
So funny. I was like, why are you coming to my window?
The other thing that he said in his apology thing, he was like, he's finding it difficult to operate out of fear his content will be misrepresented and weaponized. And even with his genius intellect, I don't know if I can find a way for not one line to be taken out of context. And then he insisted that he loves women and it has no rape or sexual assault charges, despite being the most famous man on the planet.
Oy so many lies.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Just like bullshit after bullshit.
That's a whole lot. That's rough.
And that's what always confuses me. I'm like, some people see that, they see the lies, they hear the things that he's like, I am lying to you, I am gaming you, and they're like, I love that. Like, I want to be that. Like, I would rather make my money that way. I would rather have sex that way, where people don't even really like me. They just want me for money. And I think that they're money grubbing whores the whole time. And I need to keep them in line because we don't actually like each other. I'm like, you want that? That's aspirational.
Yeah, it's not the flex that people think it is. I don't know why these guys are like going after that. And it's like I said, it's guys they're not likable, but it's that not that they're not likable for any kind of like intrinsic, for virtue of being a man, you suck kind of thing. They're actively being problematic. They're like, and that's what makes them not likable. And so they look at these people like Sandshrew, and they're like, I should be like that guy. Like, he's what I want to be like. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
What is Sandshrew's evolve? What does he evolve into?
Sandslash.
Why do you know that?
I'm
just kidding.
Next question.
That's amazing. Wait, is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a perfect analogy. Then this is so in line with you. What a perfect day. The reason why we need to deplatform Sandshrew is so that he's not evolving to Sandslash and has even more major power that is very weaponized and dangerous.
Yes, Sandslash is significantly more dangerous because he's got like the claw stuff going on.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, don't want that.
Prevent slashings.
That's a wonderful analogy.
Yeah. And I also like I understand that a lot of people know who we're talking about, like, and we don't need to like, disguise it. But I do think it is interesting that most of the way that I came across him was other people talking about him and how shitty he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'm really fired up. I really hate this person. But at the same time, I was like, who is this guy? Why are we talking about him? Like I feel very conflicted about even like doing this because I'm like, we're taking up space.
True.
Like from like, you're actually doing really good work. And like, I hope that like people follow you after this episode and, try to follow in your footsteps too.
There's better ways to be.
There's a lot of nuance. In sharing his stuff and talking about it.
Well, like 95% of the articles and stuff I was reading while I was researching were like, to be clear, we don't want to be giving any more light to this. Like, don't say his name. We don't want to be doing this. This article is going to get more clicks than anything we've ever written.
Yeah.
And we hate that, but it's true.
But we're still doing it.
But we're still trying to tell you.
And what sells at the end of the day.
Don't post about it.
That's a hard balance to maintain because, like, in order to say, hey, don't be like this guy, you have to talk about the guy.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Hitler. It's like, hey,
don't be like
don't galvanize a whole country. And then it's like, man, he did it. Okay, so he is deplatformed for all intents and purposes on social media sites. And if you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't know that unless you watch Tucker Carlson. Had him on his show either this morning or whatever. I just saw it on my feed. And
I
it's
saw it
like,
on Twitter. Yeah.
I'm so tired of the platform people, so to speak, showing up on major news outlets. Talking.
Gotta find somewhere. Gotta find whoever will take you.
So anybody saying like, oh, they're deplatformed, like they're really not. You can't deplatform a person in real life unless you just turn around and walk away. But even so, they're still existing.
Yep.
And I think that it's really cool to see creators like you who do pop up and speak up and do it in an educated way. And also, again, don't suppress the comments that are like, we've been saying this.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I know, this is just a fact of life.
Yeah. I originally thought that I was just going to make my content purely about my photography, just about like the art aspect of my photography. That was the primary purpose why I made the TikTok. And then
and what a direction it went in.
Right. It was, I mean, the honestly, believe it or not, the boudoir to anti-misogyny pipeline is not that like crazy. It's like it went from that to talking about empowerment and body positivity. And when you're talking about body positivity, you're basically trying to counteract society's like ideas of what people are supposed to look like. Which means you have to kind of tackle society as well. And the society that we run, obviously, it's a patriarchy because men are in charge of the majority of our power structure, have been since the creation of this country, at least. So that, it goes to empowerment and body positivity. And,
Agreed.
If I'm saying, don't listen to whatever these ridiculous beauty standards are, they're wrong. Like saying, like there's not one type of way to look beautiful, so don't listen to them. And if I'm going to say that the way society and the patriarchy have our beauty standards set up is wrong, then that's kind of like, and it's wrong because it's misogynistic, and this is why misogyny is a problem. And this, saying, so it goes into like
it's all connected, just the other way.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of how that happens. I go backwards from there, and now I'm making all this other content as well.
Great boudoir. We talked more about that on the last time you were on. But you were saying that you got into photography because you were just like reading a book on learning new things and mastering stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was really completely random that it turned out to be like this.
I love that though. And then my question to you at the time was like, what made you think you could do that? Like that, like women would be even comfortable with you doing that?
Honestly, you know what? I'd done a couple of shoots. like already. I'd done some street shoots outside and stuff like that. One of my closest friends, when I suggested, hey, maybe I could like do this, like be like a boudoir photographer, and she was like, yeah, absolutely, do that. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And so I went and asked, we have like a friend group. I have a very supportive friend group of people who I bounce ideas off of. And we all like hype each other up and tell each other, you know, and then we also hold each other accountable. You know, if it's like, you know, am I the problem? It's like, yeah, no, you're kind of a little bit right now. You're kind of the problem. But yeah, and I brought that to them. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing like actually being a boudoir photographer. And they're like, oh my God, can you take pictures of me too? Like, do that. Yeah, let's like, I'm all for it. Should I buy some lingerie? And I'm like, really? Like, I didn't know that. I didn't expect for it to be received as well as it was. And they were so supportive. And I was like, well, if they're supportive, then why wouldn't anyone else be supportive? Like, I can try it. I can give it a try and see how it goes, and it's only been good. It's only gone well. I actually started doing it full time. Like
yay!
The last time we spoke, I still had like a DBA setup, but now I've got like a full LLC. It's on Google. I've got like 5-star ratings, and it's all kinds of stuff now. It's been great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's been really awesome. So I've definitely been fortunate to be able to do that, and I've been just like it feels really good to be able to help people in such a unique way, because sometimes it feels like no matter what we say, we can't really convince somebody, you know, of that they matter, like that they're worth more than what they see themselves. It's really hard to tell somebody if somebody's like, oh, I feel ugly or I don't feel, you know, it's hard for you to just be like, what? No, you're not. And then like, oh, I never thought of it like that.
I have literally so many ads telling me I am. I have so many actresses I grew up telling me I am. I have a bunch of TikToks I've been coming across that I love where they make Disney princesses like normal sized.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
And they
I haven't seen that.
give them arms and they make their hips bigger and their boobs like a little smaller or whatever it is, and they give them rolls and stuff. And like it's so funny because I literally do that sometimes, like on Facetune.
Oh, really?
Like, I was sitting at the I was sitting at the doctor's office once, and I was like, I want to make Alice in Wonderland like a little bit like more realistic, like more like my body. Yeah, and like it's like you just feel like, oh, it would have been so much nicer to grow up thinking that is normal,
right,
and beautiful and stuff. And I think it's really lucky for the people that work with you that they get to do that, because like you genuinely believe that they deserve to like feel beautiful.
Absolutely. I'm like, look, I will show you, because if you don't see, you might not see it, but I see it, and so I can 100% show you exactly what I see. And I think that's really fantastic, because then they'll see the pictures and I'm like, oh my God. Like the amount of people who've said, who is that, when they look at their own pictures and they're like, is that me? That's me. And I'm like, yeah, that's you. I told you. Like it's such a fantastic feeling to see people have that revelation. Like, you know, I can do it too. Like I can be beautiful too. I can be, you know, like it's just like a warm feeling. It just feels really awesome. So yeah.
So cool.
I was just looking at his website and I saw that he's now doing TikTok submissions or something.
Oh yeah, that's a new
That's
thing.
pretty cool.
So all right, so this is actually kind of funny. Saw a TikTok of another boudoir photographer who, like, they say we're supposed to wear. It's not they say it. We just do it. We all wear all black, like really kind of boring outfits whenever we do our photo shoots. And I don't know. There was
that one girl who said that she gets naked too, or remember?
Right, she wears lingerie too. Yeah,
and I was like, you don't do that, right?
No, I stitched that. I stitched that with like a face like, that's not a bad idea. And then I have my imaginary person from the podcast going like, no, you can't.
Don't do that. Yeah.
That's not for you. That's not for you. But I had some people from, there was like a chain of videos from that one, I believe, where basically somebody asked like respectfully, I would like to suggest that you open up submissions where we send you photos and you tell us what you would do differently for our photos. And I was like, that might be that doesn't sound like a bad idea. So I asked TikTok. I asked TikTok and I asked Instagram. I was like, is this something that you guys would want to do? Like, if I were to do this, would you guys participate? Like, would you guys actually want to do that? And I got a lot of, like, within a day, I had over 100 comments. Like, yes, no, let's, like, I submit something, let's do it. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna put that up.
Now you have a pipeline of people just sending nudes.
Yes, like men and women, but it's not. But it's YouTube and TikTok friendly boudoir photos.
Okay.
So it's not like yes, send nudes, and then also
Right.
because I actually don't like when people send me like unsolicited photos. I had that happen when I first started making TikToks. I had a thing where I would show people how to do a pose, and then people would do that pose, and they would send me, or they would like stitch me or duet me or tag me or whatever, and they'd show themselves doing the pose, and I would react to it. And people loved me doing that. Like I look at their photo, they'd do my pose, and I would react, and I just go ballistic because they always look amazing doing it.
Yeah.
But what happened was, from that, people started just sending me pictures of themselves on Instagram. They would just, like, with no context, no hello, they would just be like, I did your pose, or does this look good, or something like that, and they just send me a picture, and I was just like I don't even know you, like, who are and it got to a point where it
becomes like a private conversation instead of like we're both doing this for other entertainment.
It was supposed to be me like hyping other people up in the same realm of how I hype up my clients. So I just hype them up because they're doing something that they might be outside of their comfort zone and stuff like that. But then it got to a point where, because some people, they DM me and they're like, hey, I see your content. I really think it's awesome. It motivates me. Thank you so much. Da, da, da. And I love those. But now I'll check my like new comments or new messages in my Instagram, and I'm like, is this like someone's ass? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I get scared to check my comments. So I had to stop. I stopped doing the reactions completely because I was like, hey, you guys need to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Right. It was too much. So this time I made I had like on that page, there's a bunch of rules. Now I've got like guidelines because I didn't want people to just start sending me random photos. I told them make sure to keep it like TikTok or YouTube appropriate and stuff like that. So there are definitely rules to it. It's not, and they're sending it through email. I'm not like, I'm not just collecting nudes on.
No. I was thinking about it because like, I feel like when we first started, like people would send stuff because I share stuff.
Okay.
And it got to a point that I'd be like, like, this is too much. And like, also again, now it's a personal conversation. Whereas if it's a comment on a post, that's everybody. That's a public forum or whatever, if I post something and it's like gorgeous or whatever, I'm like, thank you. Yeah. But then if you slide into my DM and you attach the post and you write gorgeous, I'm like, what are we trying to do?
Right. What's happening right now?
Yeah.
It's exactly that. So I haven't put out the first video yet. I had a photo shoot that I had to edit this week, and then I have family over. So I haven't done that yet, but next week is where I'll start doing that. And it'll be on my YouTube channel. It'll be on my Instagram. Like some of the photos, because YouTube's a lot more lax than TikTok is. And Instagram is more lax than both of them are in terms of what.
That's why YouTube was later to ban shrew.
Yeah, exactly. To ban shrew.
To jump on the ban shrew wagon.
Exactly. So I can't. So there's going to be like images that I can like critique that are like I can only critique on certain platforms. So and TikTok will be like the one that has the least amount of like crazy photos or anything like that. But I'm definitely planning on doing that next week. I'm going to have, hopefully I'll have the first video out by next week. But I think that's going to be really fun.
That's awesome.
Get to see people. I'll have both, people who've never done this before ever. And I'll have people who are like, like actual photographers. And, and I can, and what I'll basically be doing, I'm not going to, obviously it's not going to be like a, this image sucks or, you did terrible and this is why. It'll just be, I like this aspect. If I were to take this photo, this is how I would change it. Or if I were to, direct this pose, this is how I would direct it, that kind of thing. So it can be actually constructive and not harmful for people. So I definitely want to make sure that people don't feel like intimidated when doing this kind of thing, because it can be scary to put yourself out there, like in any
100%.
capacity, especially if you know that other people are going to see it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I want to make sure that it was, set up in a way that people felt like, that it wasn't like doing it at their expense in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think everybody can feel real safe with you. That's very nice.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's important for my job, especially. But
yeah, I didn't feel safe with a photographer with all of my clothes on.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's not good.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's actually bad.
Yeah. Do you remember the name of the book that you read, just in case anybody wants to master stuff?
Oh, the book was called Learn Better. It was by a guy named Ulrich Boser. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Ulrich, ULRICH, and then Boser was BOSER. And it's a little red book with a picture of a brain on it, I believe. It's a fantastic book. He tells a lot of anecdotes of just, I guess he does some sort of educational, he has some kind of educational profession or institute or study. And he went around to other scientists, psychologists, other people who study the way of, like, the art of learning, study the science behind learning, because there's not nearly enough science being done on learning. Like our learning, the way we learn now in the school platform is not the most productive way of learning. Like one teacher and like 30 plus students, trying to get, that is not the best way you can teach somebody anything.
Yeah.
He goes around and just talks to these other like professionals who learning how to do things or teaching people how to learn, that's their thing. And that's what they study, the data, the metrics, and the trends and stuff like that. And he just talks to them and goes over their research and talks about, the anecdotes. So it's a really friendly book. Like it's not so much information that you just can't like digest it or can't handle it, because it's not, these are the facts. And then it's not like that. It's like, I went to go talk to this guy and this is what he said. And like, it was a very like kind of, the way he formats is really well. That's the book. I definitely recommend it for people who want to learn things better.
Learning is very important. Everybody thinks that learning is done after school, but like most of learning happens
that's
after
when it
school.
starts, I reckon.
Yeah,
that's when it starts.
They don't teach you anything before then.
The school is teaching you how to follow directions. That's really most of what you get from school. How to be social, kind of.
You're like, fuck.
That test that says read all the directions before you take the test, and then you flip it over and it's like, you take the test, and I'm
don't
like,
write anything.
Are you just trying to fuck with me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have two more questions. Speaking of learning, how did you learn to not be a misogynist or to be an anti-misogynist? Did you grow up that way?
No. Well, okay. I had a nice head start because my role models were women. Like the smartest person that I knew as a child was my best friend was a girl. And then my mom was like my biggest role model, and she knew everything, and she was not. She wasn't shy about telling me that she knew everything. Like so I've got eyes in the back of my head. You're not going to get over on me. Like I know all the things. But the thing is that she was actually like extremely smart. So that always felt like if I had a question, she knew the answer or she knew how to get it. And she like never let me doubt her, like her ability to, be capable in any capacity and be knowledgeable in any capacity. So I had that to look up to. But
that's always like, I feel like people are like, you can tell like a guy is good on how he treats his mother or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, if they do nice stuff for their mother, that's great. But also, do they respect the words that come out of their mother's mouth? Like when do they, do they think she's smart?
Yeah. My mom is amazing. She's definitely just incredible. So I had that as kind of like a head start, but that's not like what really tipped the iceberg for me. Having women as friends, like as genuine, for not people that I'm trying to sleep with or like that kind of thing. Like, in the same capacity that you would have men as friends, same thing. Like that is what to do, because when you have women as friends, your conversations are different. Because there's a lot more of an emotional aspect to what they talk about, because women are a lot freer with talking about the emotional sides of stories and anecdotes and stuff like that. Men,
we're allowed.
Yeah, sure. Men leave that out. Men don't. Men cover like the facts of what happened a lot of the times. but they don't cover how things make them feel and, you know, what effect things have on them psychologically, emotionally, and just, and all of that stuff. They don't allow those kinds of conversations to happen. Most of the conversations are really like surface level or just talking about like, you know, they try to avoid those kinds of things. They don't want conversations to get mushy or, you know, emotional in any kind of capacity. So talking with women and having friends that were women helped me to kind of understand a lot of their kind of thought process behind things and struggles and stuff like that. Like, you know, one of my, I remember one thing distinctly is when one of my friends said that she had to go run to her car. We were at like a party and she said, I got to go run to my car. It's down the street. It was probably like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. Can you come with me? Yeah. I'm like, why do you need me to come with you? The car's right down the street. She's like, because it's outside and it's dark and I don't know who's out there. And I was just like, oh, like, because if it was me, I'd have just gone. I'd just go. I'm like, well, I don't need like a escort to go to my car. Like, what are you talking about? And then, but I was like, wait, no, she does. Like, that's actually real. Like something has happened to her. And that kind of like, I started to like kind of unravel a lot of the ideas that I had about the way men live our lives, like what things we have to worry about and what things we do not have to worry about.
Just take for granted. Yeah.
We don't even think about it.
I saw a TikTok from a trans guy who was talking about all the things that he didn't realize that he would have like privilege for. And one of them was, oh, I'm like not scared at night anymore. I'm not scared to walk alone anywhere. Like nothing's going to happen to me.
Until somebody brings it up or puts it in our face like, hey, this is something that we're dealing with all the time. And you guys don't even know. And you know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. And once that clicked, I was like, you know, wait, like what else? What else is there? Like, is there more stuff that I'm not realizing?
Tell me more things.
Right. So just in talking with women and having my friend group, and I've had my friend group's been primarily women for about 2 years now. I moved up to LA. I always had like a pretty like decent friend group because I did a lot of volunteer work in LA, and so I'd be coming back and forth, and I had like a lot of friends. But once I moved up here,
where are you from?
I came up here from San Diego. I'm from Chicago, but I came up here from San Diego. I was living in San
Robin's
Diego.
favorite place.
Hey, I was living in San Diego for years, and at that point, my friend group was a mixed bag. But once I moved up here, it became primarily women, and so I'd be hanging out and we'd have these conversations. And sometimes I'd be just chilling and just listening to their stories and just how they talk about different things. And I'm like, this is nothing like when I hang out with dudes. Like when I hang out with guys, these conversations don't sound anything like this, and they're a lot more like. Like I said, it's a lot more emotionally driven. You get to understand how people are affected by the things that happen, rather than just talking about the thing that happens.
Yes,
it's like, how does that make you feel? How did that affect you? What were the actual results of that? And when you start to think about like how other people feel about stuff that happens to them, you start to develop empathy. Like, well, I get, so I get why you're upset about that, because if that were to happen to me, I would be upset about that.
I would hate that. If I wake up tomorrow and that happened to me instead of you, that fucking sucks.
Exactly. So once I started, I think that was the core thing that kind of tipped me towards like being or like, championing an anti-misogynist kind of like idea and repeating this to other people and teaching them the way that I learned a lot of this stuff was, how would I feel in those situations? Or, just understand, like learning the empathy and learning and just trying to develop emotional intelligence. And I spent more time listening rather than, I guess, like waiting to talk. Like I would actually just say, like, what does she have to say? Because for people who aren't used to that, a lot of times it's really easy to think that somebody doesn't have anything to offer. Like if they don't say the stuff that you know or believe or whatever, then you just write them off as not having anything worth talking about. But you know what I mean? I'm like, well, these are my friends now. So let me see what they have to say about just any different topic. And when I listened, instead of just waiting to say my side of things and what I saw, I would listen to what they said and I'd be like, wow, I never even thought of that. I didn't know that this was happening. I didn't know that's how you guys thought or felt and a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's been helpful.
And it is interesting. If not just making you a more empathetic person, like it is interesting to learn stuff. Like I'd rather learn stuff from people telling me stuff like than from a book. You know, absolutely. And if somebody telling me their experience and like being like, yeah, so that's how it really affected me or whatever. And like also watching, like I've had the same thing where guys will go, no way, you know, and then I'm like, yeah, we're teaching you. But like,
yeah, you're learning things.
I learn things about you too. And like curiosity and respectful curiosity is so great.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so cool. But I also, I was feeling nervous about the swing into little misogynists being made again.
Yeah.
But I'm like, again, excited that they have people like you that they could see. So that's really good. And also I noticed that there's more people like me in spaces where we weren't anymore. Like in comedy, like I just figured I'd be the only girl all the time when I first started.
Really?
And then the other day I was sitting with a friend of mine and 3 other female comics / bookers, whatever. And the guy made a joke about, he said like he was going to like punch me in the face or whatever. And I was like, we don't make those jokes anymore. And then
I was like, what?
And the other girls go, yeah, no. And he goes, no. And we're like, mm-mm. You know, and it was like, okay, so you've really only been surrounded by people who haven't had these conversations yet.
Right.
We do love you. You are our friend. We don't know how it got to this point.
Yeah.
Maybe it was honestly, it was post lockdown. So it was like the first time we were seeing him, we were like, oh, the internet that you were on was bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel more safe now in those spaces that it's like, we are having these conversations and there are guys and girls and other people willing to learn about groups that aren't them.
Right. Exactly. That's amazing. That's really awesome.
Yeah, we love it. This recording has been so much better.
All right. Well, hopefully the sound isn't messed up on this one. But if you do want me to come back on, I can. You said, did you have one more question for me? You said you had 2.
I do. I have one more question. Speaking of coming back.
For sure.
Just paying attention.
Can you recount your first time coming to the listeners?
So I didn't know if I was supposed to put like my first time coming from like just coming ever or the first time coming from sex. I wasn't sure. Ever. Yeah. So that's the one that I put. I was my dad is a traveling salesman. So we would travel sometimes whenever I was hanging out with him. We would go from state to state and travel. We live in like motels and stuff and go door to door and do stuff like that. It was really fun. I got a lot of like culture shock experience, just learning how different states, people are, which was really like fantastic. This was a soap called Advantage, which is a soap that can clean anything. My parents just sent me a box of it. I didn't even know this company still existed, but they still use it and it cleans everything. Like I've never seen anything that can do what this thing does. It cleans concrete. It cleans
Advantage. Go get it.
It's insane. But yeah, I mean, they don't sell anymore because they do other stuff now, but the soap is still like insane. So it was really fun. While we were in those motels, this was back at a time where HBO showed spicy content at night. Yeah. They they had some really it'd be like nighttime, like in the motels we would sleep. My dad would have his bed, and then me and my little brother would have our own bed, and we would sleep like opposites. So like he'd get one corner and I get the opposite other corner. So I usually be closer to like the TV, which is the opposite of the thing, opposite of the beds. And so it would be like I would like just wake up, and my dad liked to watch HBO, so he'd watch until he falls asleep, and he'd be watching like just a random movie, like an action movie or something. Yeah. But by the time that I woke up, like it's just like
turns into porn.
Yeah, it's like actual porn, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, what's happening here? But yeah, and it was just one of those days where that had happened, and I was noticing like I was reacting. And so I was just like trying to like mess with it, like to play with it, because I hadn't like noticed that it did that before. And so I didn't like have a concept of like masturbation or anything like that. I didn't know that this was a thing that people did. So So I started doing that, and I was just like, wow, this feels really good. This is nice. So yeah, I do that until I'm done.
Yep.
But I'm doing it under covers. So because I'm under a comforter, and I'm just looking at the TV. So I don't know that stuff comes out when you come. Like I didn't get this lesson. I was still really early in, like I was still pretty young, like probably like maybe 11, 12, maybe something like that. Yeah. I hadn't yet had like any kind of discussions about this. People made jokes about sex at school, but I wasn't curious enough to like delve into it. So I didn't know that was a part of it, is that stuff came out. And I didn't know then either. Like I didn't realize it then. So I just fall asleep after doing that.
It's sticky.
Yeah. So yeah.
So like I've got a top sheet and another top sheet.
So yeah, the undersides of the comforters probably were not they were probably pretty like sticky.
You crack them, yeah.
Yeah, they probably weren't great, but yeah. So that was.
And then you just go to every new town.
Yeah, I was just doing it.
Your dad has to pay an extra cleaning fee.
Just because you're jizzing in all the sheets.
Yeah.
Gotta sell more soap because all the time.
Yeah, I will leave a bottle of soap for the room.
Like, I'm so sorry, I have 2 young boys.
So yeah, I had no idea. It wasn't until like way late, like after we stopped traveling and I was like back at home and I did it and I was like, what the fuck what is this? Like, what is this stuff coming out? But yeah, so that was my first time. It was
were you able to do it with your imagination after there was no HBO around?
Not really. I could try if I tried really, really hard. So I've got this thing. Different people have different ways that they think. Some people are visual thinkers and some people are not. And some people, there's just a ton of different ways. Some people can't visualize images in their head. I can, but it takes me a lot of effort. Okay. So I have a really difficult time, which makes is really interesting that I ended up being a photographer. But I can't I can't picture images in my head unless I'm like really focused. Like it takes me time to do it. So yeah, usually I can't just visualize without like watching something. If I don't have an option, then like I can probably come up with something.
A really interesting way to think about it too, because I mean, we've talked about some people, we use imagination. Some people like porn, some people like audio stuff. And it's like, I've never taken into account that it could be as different as like visual learning or audio learning or whatever. Like I'm very much an audio learner as well.
Same. Yeah.
So like audio is great. Something and remember it, but it's really like, if I hear somebody talking about it, like I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about synesthesia the other day too, where like some people will see like letters as colors or whatever. And it's like, if you can't do it without porn, you can't do it without porn.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It is what it is. The audio stuff is, I can do the audio stuff. Audio works. Cool. But I can't, I can't do it with my imagination. Or no, I can't, but it would just be really difficult.
But also, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't I never thought that was like a problem. At some point I did think that was the problem. I was kind of like frustrated that I couldn't do it. But yeah, eventually I got over it.
I'm helping you realize that you helped yourself to get over it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even really consider that. But yeah, no, at some point I was like, is something wrong with me? Why can't I think about this? Like, I feel like I should be able to. But
no, and I've always been like, is something wrong with me that I like don't like watching porn? Like I like get like grossed out by it.
Really?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean people like what they like, and
they like what they like.
Receive what the way that they enjoy things with it's different. Like there's no right way to do that.
Totally.
Cyzor, this has been so great. Can you tell everybody where they can find you online?
Yes. All right. So you can Google Cyzor Studios, or you can go to my website, which is cyzorstudio.com. I'm on all social medias as Cyzor Studio. So my Instagram is Cyzor Studio, TikTok Cyzor Studio, and you can find me all over the internet. If you type that in, I'll pop up. So yep, absolutely. I do like I said, I'm a boudoir photographer, so I do empowering photo shoots for everybody. It's not just women. Women and femme presenting are what I primarily focus on. I haven't had any guys like hit me up to do a photo shoot, but I'm definitely open to.
You've done couples, right?
I have done couples, yes. So yeah, I'm definitely like open to that as well. But and I shoot all body types, all backgrounds. Like I'm very all inclusive with that aspect. So yeah, and
all different color backdrops as well.
Yeah, everything. I'm all over the place.
When you said all different backgrounds, I was like pink.
Yeah. All elevations. Like we can shoot on a skyscraper, all locations. Maybe we'll shoot in Greece or something. I'll see if I can set that up.
Love it. Okay, I have to ask you one more question, which I have to ask everybody after a sexual experience, which this has been. Cyzor, did you finish?
I absolutely finished. Hopefully you did too.
I did. Oh, thank you for asking. Nobody's asked me lately.
Of course. That's the most important part.
He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk, you guys. Amazing. Thank you for coming. And we'll see you guys next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help, 'cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
So, in this episode, we're talking about Sandtrue, the toxic podcaster, getting kicked off all the platforms. There's still a lot of people out there who are not getting kicked off of platforms. They're just like espousing harmful information. I saw a TikTok like this morning based on a movie that just came out that everybody is talking about.
I'm going to go see it tomorrow.
Like, I don't even know if I should even tell you the spoiler.
It doesn't matter.
Is it okay for you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, because some people don't like spoilers. If you don't like spoilers, don't listen to anything I have to say. We're going to be talking about Don't Worry, Darling. And we're going to be talking about Do Revenge, which is on Netflix.
Oh my God, I started that the other day and then I fell asleep, but it's so good. So here come the spoilers. Apparently, Olivia Wilde, who directed Don't Worry, Darling, says that one of the characters in it is based on Jordan Peterson, who is... Let's just play the TikTok.
Check out this video of Jordan Peterson crying because someone called him an incel.
I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, thanks for confirming what everybody already knew.
Why not? You know, people have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. Now, what a terrible thing to do that is. I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
What the fuck? The marginalized. God forbid men who want to kill women who won't fuck them are pushed to the fringes of society. Am I right? The difference between even how a piece of shit like Piers Morgan characterizes incels, lonely, despicable, weirdo men, and Jordan Peterson's characterization of incels as disaffected, marginalized young men really speaks to Jordan Peterson's philosophy regarding this whole incel situation. That the true victims of this overt ideological misogyny that contributes to violence against women are men. The incels themselves, actually. Incel, for those who don't know, is a self-identifier and a shorthand for involuntarily celibate. Of course, meaning that they are celibate, but not by their own choice, placing the responsibility of their celibacy on those who won't fuck them. This type of ideology, while clearly unfathomably stupid, is also clearly very dangerous. Notable incels include mass murderer Elliot Rodger, mass murderer Jake Davison, and mass murderer Alec Minassian, who Jordan has spoken about in the past. But before I get into Jordan Peterson talking about Alec Minassian's motivation for this killing, that is that he was unfuckable and thus mad at God, and his proposed solution of enforced monogamy, let's listen to what else Jordan Peterson says to Piers Morgan in defense of incels.
It's making you emotional to talk about it.
Well, God, you know, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. And what do they mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift.
Incel, what does it mean? They don't know how to make themselves attractive to women. Okay, so men mad because women picky, which is women's gift.
That's your gift.
Now let's look at this McLean's article on Jordan Peterson's thoughts on enforced monogamy, which parallels a lot of what Jordan just said to Piers Morgan. So speaking of Alec Minassian, who killed 10 people in Toronto with a van, Jordan says he was angry at God because women were rejecting him. The cure for that is enforced monogamy. That's actually why monogamy emerges. This weird argument in support of monogamy. With these statements, Jordan is basically saying to incels, I feel your pain, men. We should address that. And the New York Times summed it up. Violent attacks are what happens when men do not have partners. And remember what Jordan Peterson said to Piers Morgan about women being picky, which is why all these men, these incels, are upset. Peterson offers support for a core incel belief. He endorses the idea that some men are being denied sex because other men are taking all the sex from women who are allowed to choose to give them that sex, and that if something could happen to prevent all this, having sex with people of your choosing nonsense, some unlucky women would eventually have to settle for the incels. If we could just make that happen, these men would not have to be so angry at God and commit mass murder, so the argument goes. So someone killed 10 people because he was angry at God because he couldn't get his fuck on. And Jordan Peterson says maybe if women weren't so picky and let him get his fuck on, then maybe 10 people wouldn't be dead. Which is maybe the most incel thing ever said. And Jordan is crying because someone called him an incel hero. But let's watch this back for the moment Jordan actually gets triggered, because I think it's the most interesting part. He's all laughs and smiles when he thinks Piers Morgan is just asking about Olivia Wilde. Like, oh, we get to disagree with a woman. Yeah, this is the best. But Jordan's expression completely shifts when Piers gives a pretty accurate description of incels.
I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you?
You can literally see the moment Jordan realizes Piers Morgan, quite surprisingly, isn't the absolute scum of the earth. And he goes into defense mode and gets so overwhelmed he cries about being accurately described as leader of the incels.
Yeah. So the twist in Don't Worry, Darling is they live in this like amazing community where like all of like everyone's so happy and it's beautiful and it's colorful and it's very like 50s kind of like Palm Springs. And the guys go to work every day to do this thing that the women have no idea what they're doing. And the women just get to like hang out and go to dance class and drink and stuff. And eventually the main character, Florence Pugh, realizes that shit's fucked up. And basically the twist is that they're living in like a software created by like Jordan Peterson. And all the women who are there, it's because their husbands in the software are men that have kidnapped them in real life and like hooked them up to this machine. So like all of the romantic scenes that you see of Florence and Harry, like he's actually this guy who like they did used to date, but like he looks different in the outside world. He like he's kidnapped her and put her in this game. And it's basically like this forced monogamy, forced relationship for guys that like would go crazy if
women were picky.
Yeah, if women
didn't pick them.
If the people that they wanted to fuck had free will.
Yeah, had the right to choose.
Yeah. And I just think it's also so insane that like the verbiage of like, well, if men would just, men wouldn't be forced to, like, and it's above gender. If you would just, like in any abusive relationship, if you would just do this, then I wouldn't have to do this. And it's like, no, you should be fully in control of yourself. I've never heard.
Yeah, it's my actions don't influence yours. Like
there's how many movies, rom-coms about a woman who can't get laid and is sad and is alone. And like, it's never the response to go kill a bunch of people.
No,
I've never seen that in real life. I've never seen that in film.
Yeah, no.
And there is, so Olivia Wilde plays a character in the movie who's like one of the wives. And you find out at the end that she knows she's been in here all along and she like likes it better because she gets to see her kids, which is like, wait.
Interesting.
That's WandaVision. But also just from like a patriarchy viewpoint, it shows just like in Promising Young Woman, how like the female dean contributed to the structure of the patriarchy,
right? Yeah.
That there are women who are choosing this.
Yeah.
And I've also separately from this movie, but I've just been noticing a lot of trads. Do you know what a trad is?
No.
They're called traditional. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about it. Maybe not.
I think we did, but I don't think we called them trads. I think we were it was when we're talking about Sandshrew and the things that he expects.
But then there's women
the type of woman that he wants. They want to be trad wives.
There are women who are waxing poetic on the internet right now about being trads, about being like, oh, it was so much nicer when we could just stay home and whatever. And it's like, you are seeing all the wrong sides of it. You're seeing the propagandized version of what, and I thought that too. I thought, oh, maybe we did construct the patriarchy so that we could stay home. And it's like, but it's not an even split. And like, again, like we were talking about with Cyzor, it should just be, if you want to stay home, you stay home. If you want to go to work, you go to work. Like we should be equally distributing these amongst all the genders.
Yeah.
So my grand review, maybe I'll do like an episode on Don't Worry, Darling, but I don't know. This might be it. But basically, I think Don't Worry, Darling, it pulls from a lot of other movies. And like, it took like the color scheme from Promising Young Woman and like, the very like delicate dressed and makeuped woman who's actually a very strong person or whatever, just like those juxtaposing things. And like, there's the red jumpsuits from Us. Like you'll see, like there's a lot of like visual stuff. Like when Harry Styles said it feels like a movie, like it's because it literally feels like a bunch of other movies.
Right.
But also I think the word he was looking for is cinematic, which it is. It's beautiful. But I do think it takes from a lot of stuff. And one of my friends was like, but doesn't all media? And I was like, yeah. But like, so we just watched Do Revenge. And that's also about a girl whose nudes get leaked and the revenge that she does and stuff. And it's also very like pastel-y and similar. But they reference a lot of movies intentionally. Like there's knockoff lines from Clueless. There's scenes from Mean Girls. There's like, it's very interesting. It's like an intended amalgam of 90s movies. Whereas Don't Worry, Darling is an amalgam of recent movies. And
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
It's good. Like there was a lot of thinking after it, but then I was also like, this reminds me of so many other things.
Is that bad?
No, not necessarily. I'll probably see it again to have like a better grasp on it. Like I just also think like they saw like Florence Pugh like discovering something in a cult in Midsummer and we're like, ooh, let's do that again.
Good plan. Let's go.
Same actress. We loved how she panted and figured things out then. Like, let's do it again.
This scene you did? Do it again. Copy and paste. Change the lighting.
Yeah.
You're probably going to end up doing like an And Just Like That review on your story of this movie, to be honest.
So. And then final story for this Marvel section. I had the best cab driver the other day.
Okay.
But we were basically talking just about stuff. And then he's like, what do you do? And I was like, a comedian. And he's like, what do you talk about? I'm like, my boyfriend, family, my cat, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you ever talk about politics? Nah, sometimes. If I have like something really good. He's like, yeah, like during Trump, like every comic had something about him. And I was like, I did. And it was annoying, but like, of course you've got jokes about him. He's a joke.
Yeah.
And
whatever's relevant.
The guy, we're talking about Trump for a little bit. And this applies to one part of the conversation. He was saying that he had a passenger one day who was saying that Trump is such a good businessman. And he was talking about the art of the deal. And in it, he was explaining just how Trump fucked over this guy and like didn't pay him after like he completed a building. And he was like, isn't that such great business? And the guy was like, no, that's like a really good criminal.
I mean, is it a really good criminal?
Yeah. It's good at being a criminal, which is what people are like saying about Sandshrew is they're like, oh, he's really good at business. And it's like, no, he's really good at fucking you out of your money.
Yeah, it is.
And doing crimes.
Promoting himself, and he's getting bigger and richer and better and dodging everything, moving to Romania.
Yeah. And then me and the cab driver keep talking. And we were just talking about like Fox News and stuff and how easily indoctrinated people are. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, there's like some study that like people who have been watching Fox News, they put them onto MSNBC for a week and it like changes their whole brain chemistry because they're just used to like listening.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I used to watch Bill O'Reilly and he came out, there were these sexual assault allegations and he paid off the woman. And so I kept watching and he's like, but then it happened again. And this time I was like, no, this is a bad dude. And he was like, because women are forgiving. He says this out of nowhere. He goes, all he needed to do was take accountability and apologize. But that he never took accountability the first time. And that's why he never stopped it. And that's why I stopped listening to him because I don't fuck with that basically.
Who is this guy?
I was like, what is your name? His name is Mike. And I was just like, yeah, totally. And like, even in that conversation, I was like, yeah, like women are forgiving, but it's because an AFAB people, like we are conditioned to be forgiving.
Yeah. Forgive and forget, move on.
Whenever Ben and I call a lift from Jersey, if it's a guy, 9 times out of 10, he'll cancel on us because they don't want to go into the city. And if it's a woman, she'll pick us up. She won't reject it because she's just going to go with the flow. And like the other day I got in and this woman was like, I don't usually go to the city. And I was like, reject us. Next time, reject us. They do it all the time. I'm running after cars all the time because they're canceling while pulling up or whatever. Like, just reject us. And like, but it's also become like a thing that if I see them coming, I'm like, oh, she'll stay.
Yeah.
We need to coach people to advocate for themselves, other people to be more forgiving. And to not see
everybody
that
just to be better
as a weakness. Yeah. Like even in this Jordan Peterson video, the guy in it, I think has correct intentions, but he's like, look at him crying. I'm like, you're also enforcing like gender stereotypes and like what's not allowed. Like if Jordan really feels that like men aren't allowed to cry, then those are the men he's talking to. But like, anyway. Yeah, it's problematic. We've literally had to be like, no, he's not great.
He's not.
But you can't combat evil with evil. You can't be like, you call us ugly, we'll call you bald.
Don't make it right.
You say that we're pussies, we're going to make fun of you crying. Like,
yeah, be nice, be kind.
All right, that's all I had to say.
And it was good. I'm glad you said
Okay, I'm glad that you were here for it.
Okay, that is the end of this episode. We'll probably post those TikToks so you can see them instead of just listening to them. And we'll post the creator names down below. We recorded like 20 more minutes with Robin about
her life updates some more. Patreon.com/howcome. And yeah, hope you liked the episode. Let us know if you didn't or if you did. Bye.